Hey guys, it's Tealus here. Welcome back to the Weaver, the new elite specialization coming to Elementalists in the Guild Wars 2 expansion Path of Fire. I'm really excited for what the Weaver is bringing. In the first video, we looked through basically everything that, the basics of the Weaver. We went through the talents, we went through the utility skills, the stances, and even the new weapon, the main hand sword that is coming into the Weaver. However, what we didn't go through is the extra dual skill abilities that are coming to all of the weapons because of the way the Weaver operates. And there's a lot of them. We're talking 24 skills. I'm not even referring to the 30 the 6 extra skills that are coming from the Trident. I'm not going to show you those because people really don't care much about water weapons. I'm just going to be focusing on the sword, the brand new sword, the dagger, the scepter, and the staff. All three of them are bringing in new, basically, dual skill abilities, depending on how you've attuned yourself in Guild Wars 2 Path of Fire. So, I'm going to go through all of them. Right now, believe it or not, at 3:37 in the morning where I am, there are a whole ton of people who are really obsessed with just spamming every single one of their abilities and trying to look cool. So I will continue to try and find, to rotate between the different golems and find a place where I can show you these abilities without too much interference. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. We're going to start with the sword, right where we left off in the last video. And right now I'm attuned to fire. I'm going to switch to water, so I have water in my main hand, fire in my offhand. And here we have Twin Strike. It is a dual, notice it's called a dual attack. So we have Twin Strike. Quickly strike enemies in front of you with the extreme nature of fire and water. It deals damage, it causes chilled, and it causes burning. So, as soon as he gets back into position, I'll go ahead and use this for you right here. And there you go. Just 2 quick slashes, and that's simply basically what it does. So, I'm going to switch over to air. So air's in the main hand and water's in the offhand. We have a new ability here called Shearing Edge. Forms a frozen blade and spin it towards your enemies. So it does damage and it deals some chilled, and it has a 5 target limit because it kind of goes for some distance. So we're going to go ahead and back up here just a little bit. So you can see it projects out 600 range on it. So there you go. We'll go ahead and use it. And there it projects out. That's the ability for water and air. Moving to earth, so earth in the main hand, air in the offhand, we have Gale Strike. Strike your enemies, lifting them and creating cyclones at their locations. Causes bleeding, 5 stacks of bleeding, 5 stacks of vulnerability. It also causes them to float, which is really cool. I really like floating in this game. So we'll go ahead and use this right here. And there we go, it floats up in the air, the bleeding, vulnerability, everything really cool. Switching over to fire, so we have a fire in the main hand, earth in the offhand. We have this new ability called Lava Skin. Cover yourself in an increasing barrier while dealing damage to nearby enemies. So it deals damage. It has a barrier pulse of 325. So I believe each time it pulses, it will increase the barrier, or it will keep that barrier at 325. We'll know in a second here. Molten armor, gain barrier over time and pulse damage in the center area, and it causes burning. 5 target, kind of cap on it, and it pulses 5 times. So let's go ahead and use this right here. And the barrier does stack, so as you can see, our barrier is going up, and we were kind of in that light stance there. That was that kind of flaming body. So I'm going to actually back up so we can see it in full right here, because it's kind of cool. We'll stand on this rock right here and use it. And here we go. There you go. And it pulses out just like that. So with that, let's switch to air. So we have air in the main hand, fire in the offhand. We have this new ability called Pyro Vortex. Strike enemies in an arc in front of you, creating burning vortexes on the enemies you hit. Initial strike does damage, burning, and it has a target number of 3 and 3 pulses. So we'll go ahead and use it right here. And there you go, and you can see a little vortex on it and the burns. So that's pretty cool. And then the last ability we have to look at, after we've gone through fire and air, is going to be water and earth. So we'll transform into that. and then we'll switch over to Earth. So we now dual spec Earth, Water, and here it is. It is Natural Frenzy. Fire a random volley of ice and earth at your enemies. 8 times damage, causes bleeding and vulnerability. So 8 hits. We're gonna fire it from a range here. It's got a 600. It looks like 600 yard range. So we'll go ahead and use it right here. And there you go. Just fires from a distance. Pretty cool. So that is every single one of the sword abilities that are coming in the new expansion. So let's go ahead and attune myself back to fire fully. And we are going to equip a dagger. I believe I put it down here. Equip. Yes, I'd like to soul bind it. So there's a sword. We have a dagger in the main hand. So let's go ahead and switch to water. So here's our first ability. Steam Surge. Slide to the area, blasting foes with steam while healing nearby allies. Damage, healing, has a number target limit of 5 and numbered ally targets of 5. So we'll go ahead and use this right here. And there it is right there, and it leaves the field. So that's pretty cool. And you can see the water auto attacks coming through as I have water in my main hand. So let's switch to air attunement. Now I have air in my main hand, water in my off. The new ability is called Katabatic Wind. I believe I pronounced that right. Release a frigid wind that damages foes, damage, chilled, and it also gives regen as well as a daze on top of it. So there's a lot baked into this one. Radius of 240, so we'll go ahead and use this right here. And there we go. It's an AoE around yourself, does a lot of damage. Well, not a lot of damage, a decent amount of damage. But there's a lot tied into that, with the daze and the regen and the chill. Moving to Earth. So we have lightning, Earth in the main hand, lightning in the offhand. We have the ability Grinding Stones. Shred foes with a storm of stones. Damage 6 times, bleeding 6 times, number of targets 3. So we'll go ahead and use it right here. And the range, it's just a radius of 180, so we'll get real close and then use it right here. So there you go. Really cool looking ability that they have right there. With that, we'll move to fire. So we have fire in the main hand, earth in the offhand. We have Ashen Blast. Blind your foes with burning ashes. Does damage, and then it causes blindness. Number of targets, 5, and a range of 300. So close to a range of 300. We'll have to move out of the way because this guy decided to steal my target. We'll just use a heavy golem here. And we'll go ahead and use it right here. There you go. The big launch of... Basically, it's a big cone of flame right there. It's actually pretty cool. We'll let it come up again so we can see it one more time. More from the side here so you can see it. And there it is right there. The cone in front. So, with that, let's attune to air. So we have air in the main hand, fire in the offhand. We have the ability Plasma Burst. Burn your foes with a Plasma Blast. Damage, burning, number of targets 5, and once again radius of 240. So a lot of these dagger abilities are more AoE centered on yourself. So we'll go ahead and use this again. And there we go. Blast around yourself, burning damage. And that's pretty much the basics of it. With that, we need to attune to water. So we'll switch to water, and then we will switch to earth. So we have the last one here for us, which is Mudslide. Dual attack, trip your foes with mud as you slide past them. Does damage, number of targets, number of hits per target 1, knocks them down for 2 seconds, and the mud duration is 3 seconds with a radius of 45. So it's a pretty cool ability. So we'll go ahead and use it right here. As you can see, I dash forward. It's not really the biggest area, but you got that dash there, and you can kind of have a little bit of an escape or a getaway. So that is every single one of the dagger abilities. We've gone through half the abilities so far. So let's go ahead and move on to the scepter. I'll just open up my inventory here. And I am in combat with that light golem. So let's go ahead and finish him off. I'm going to be lazy. There we go. He's been finished off. And we can now switch inventory to the scepter. Yes, I would like to bind it. And we shall begin once again with fire and water. Water in the main hand, fire in the offhand. The first ability is called Fiery Frost. Launch a fire and ice bolt while evading. I was going to do it from this rock, but with evading kind of scares me. That I'll launch myself to my death. Notice that it's a 1,200 yard range, which is pretty cool. So, go ahead and use this here. And there you go. It's like a massive icy boulder that gets launched. It does burning damage and it causes chill, so it's pretty sweet. And then you have yourself a little bit of a flyback on it. Here in air in the main hand and water in the offhand, we have Glacial Drift. Whirl air and ice together, sending out a super cooled projectile that chills enemies it strikes. So, deals damage, 900 yard range, chilled for 5.5 seconds, number of targets 5. So we'll go ahead and use this here. And there you go. It's actually pretty slow moving, which is kind of disappointing. I know that the auto attack for arc lightning kind of got in the way, so we'll show it one more time when it comes back up. And that guy is like wailing away on our light target here, so let's go ahead and use the, well, it was going to use the medium. Let's go ahead and use this one. You can see it right here. It's just a slow moving boulder. It's a little bit different. So, so let's go ahead and move into earth. So we have air in the offhand, earth in the main hand. Earthen Synergy. Smite your enemies with the earth and sky, dealing damage from below and then stunning them from above. That sounds awesome. Initial damage 561, secondary damage 240. Has a stun and a number of targets is 3 with a radius of 120 and range of 900. So that's pretty decent. And we are starting to get really crowded here. So let's see if we can find once again, switch around, as I said I was going to do, to find some places where I can actually show you stuff without being too bothered. So let's go ahead and use this right here, this light goal. And hopefully we can have some peace and a little bit of a piece of quiet here. So go ahead and use the ability now. And there you go. It has kind of a launch mechanic. And you saw the little pieces of earth basically come out of the ground and then like the lightning strike. So we'll go ahead and use it again more up close so you can kind of see. See if we can see it one more time. Pop it up and here we go. There we go. Lightning strikes after the rocks come out of the ground, so that's pretty cool. Let's switch to fire here. So we have fire in the main hand, earth in the offhand, and we have Fracturing Strike. Call a meteor from the sky that crashes into the ground, creating an eruption of magma. That is awesome. Damage 1100, vulnerability 6 stacks, and burning 2 stacks. So let's go ahead and use this now. Oh, that was cool. That was really cool. That went a lot quicker than I thought it would. So it's a very quick meteor shot from the sky. Really cool ability, 900 yards is the range. Let's switch to air. We have air in the main hand, fire in the offhand. We have Plasma Beam. Fire a superheated jet of plasma at your foe. 5 times damage, and that's basically it. It has a target limit of 3. So go ahead and fire it, and it's just a super beam right there. So it's like the upgraded version of arc lightning, I guess you could say. It's the super beam. With that, let's go ahead and switch to water. And then we will switch to earth so we can see the last ability. Last ability here is called Stone Tide. Bleed your foe with ice and sharpened stones. Damage 800, bleeding 8 stacks, vulnerability 8 stacks, number of targets 5, duration 2 seconds, and interval 1 quarter. It only has a radius of 180, so do note that, but it is a 900 yard range. So go ahead and check this out right here. And there it is right there. That's pretty cool. It's like a muddy pool. So definitely I think it's worth it. So really impressed with these dual skills. We are 3/4 of the way through. We only have one more to look at, and that is the staff. I'm going to see if I can head back to the other area because I liked it a whole lot better. It was easier. It was a little bit clearer to see stuff out there. So we'll go ahead and head over here and equip a staff. Switch to fire. And double switch to fire for that instance. And here we go. We will we'll probably be able to do all of these up from on top of this rock right here. So, we're up here. Let's go ahead and switch to water. Water in the main hand, fire in the offhand. Here we go. Pressure blast. 1,200 yard range. Send out a vaporous projectile that heals allies that passes through it. The projectile violently explodes if it hits the ground or strikes an enemy, healing allies and damaging foes in the area. That sounds awesome. So here we go. There we go. There's the explosion. One thing that I noticed, oh, never mind. I'm totally thinking of the wrong thing. For some reason, I was looking at the targeting circle for the Elementalist, and I thought the fire represented the fire elemental attunement, when it's just Elementalist in general. Stupid me. Ignore me. So let's go ahead and move into the air attunement. Right here, we have Monsoon. 1,200 yard range as well. Launch a hurricane in a direction, healing allies and damaging enemies. Damage 200, regen, heal, chilled, and you have targets per pulse 5. So let's go ahead and use this. And as you can see, it's got a kind of an arrow-shaped thing. I haven't seen one of these since, actually this looks somewhat like the Warrior's Charge with their greatsword. So we'll go ahead and use this. See what it looks like. Oh, okay, there we go. That's pretty cool. And that has a pretty lengthy range, so that's pretty impressive. Let's go ahead and switch to Earth. Now, as you can see here, Earth is in the main hand and Air is in the offhand. So you can see the first two abilities of the Earth Staff are here, and then the last two abilities of the Lightning Staff are here, and then the middle one is right here in the center, the new dual attack. So this one is called Pile Driver. After a short channel, launch a hyper-fast boulder that decimates foes in its path. Guys, I'm really excited because Staff is my absolute favorite part of Elementalist, and these sound really cool. So, deals damage, dazes them for 2 seconds, number of targets 5, and it pierces. So, let's go ahead and fire this sucker off. We'll go ahead and do it at the heavy golem over here. Never mind, they're clearing them out pretty quickly. Let's get the light golem to spawn, and then here we go. Woo! Okay, that's pretty cool. That's like launching a missile at your target. I kind of want to try that again with this one right here. So give me a second. We're gonna try that again with this one right here, because that was pretty cool. So one more time, and we will launch it. I'm gonna see if I can show you from the side here. There's the charge up, and then there's the shot. That's pretty cool. So with that, let's switch to fire. So fire is now the main hand spec, and earth is the offhand. And we have an ability called Pyroclastic Blast. Launch a molten rock that devastates the area. Impact damage 600, pulse damage 300, burning on impact, pulse burning as well. There's a lot. So go ahead and use it. Doesn't have a very large AoE, but we'll go ahead and launch this off here. And there you go. It's a little bit slow. It's more like a magma lob, but it does a decent amount of damage, as you can see there. So that's actually pretty cool. Switching to air here, so we have air in the main hand and fire in the offhand. We have Plasma Blast. Launch a ball of plasma that explodes on impact at your foe. And I believe every single one of these has been 1200, which is good. It'd be disappointing for any of the abilities for a Elementalist staff to be below 1200. So launch a ball of plasma that explodes on impact at your foes, deals damage, and that's basically it. It's just damage. So we'll go ahead and once again, it's got this targeting reticle, which is, I kind of like this here for an Elementalist. Launching it, and there you go. Once it impacts, it deals tons of damage. So that's pretty cool. And then last we have, let's go ahead and unravel here, and then switch to Earth. So the final ability for an Elementalist, we have Lahar. Create an area that cripples and damages enemies. Damage 1000, cripple for 2 3/4, 50% movement speed, and 5 targets, and it lasts for 5 seconds. So we'll go ahead and use it. That's a pretty large radius that it has there. That's pretty awesome. And here we go. There we go. It's just a massive, oh, that's a nice, that's going to be a really nice ability. I do really like this. So that is it for basically the staff Elementalist. Now, one thing I don't know, blasting staff was added into the base kit for Elementalist a long time ago. I don't know if these abilities, they intended for a lot of these abilities to be very small. This is one of the larger ones, and it's nothing compared to, you know, your normal other abilities for an Elementalist. So I don't know if they planned for them to be that small. I mean, this one makes sense for it being small, but you know, just keep attuned to what is going on with the changes ahead of Pathfinder. We still have a month before its release, and we'll see how things balance changes may turn out. I'm sure a lot of balance changes are going to come out of this weekend. So that is everything with the Weaver. I knew this would require 2 videos just because there's so much. We didn't even get to the Trident abilities. There's so much with the Weaver, and it's really exciting. A lot of opportunities for you depending on whatever your playstyle was as a Weaver. Even if you're not using the sword as a weapon, you're going to be able to have a lot of fun with either dual daggers or scepters, or in my case, the staff. So I'm really excited. So I hope you guys enjoyed this preview of all of the weapon skills that are coming to a Weaver. I do believe they are getting the most out of everyone by far, and that's saying a lot when you compare it to something like the Firebrand or the Hollowsmith. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next Tier List Out. See ya!